Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a lot of vowels. I have a choice between changing and playing a Jew, which provides a lot of really useful floaters for opponents. And I don't wish to do that. I'm going to change. And I'll keep DE, the D just for vowel consonant balance, and the E because it's a good tile. Pretty good. I can't see a 7, but through an E I would have reported. Always a chance opponent will change after you've started with a change, because he may suspect you've got a really good rack and be more reluctant to provide floaters. Well, he doesn't change, he plays, but he doesn't provide an E. So let me consider the floaters here. I'm not seeing anything with an F. How about a U? I've got the out prefix, but I'm not seeing anything. Well, let me just say straight away that I've got a ton of bingos through the A, parroted, predator, prorated, pro-trade, and one other. How about the L? Not seeing anything. How about the G? Not seeing anything. So what's best here? Well, parroted gets the P doubled and doesn't put any vowels next to premium squares. Not so great. Q and W, a bad combination, unless there's an F for whackf, which there is. That doesn't score a lot, but it does sort the rack out and leave a decent rack leave. So supposing whackf is blocked, what else do I have? No I's for chin. Now there is a U for my Q. So, well, I have squaw, but that doesn't hit either of the double word squares in that column. I have quash, which does. However, that burns the S for not many points. Well, those are my only options at the moment, and I think I prefer whackf. Nowhere great for my W and H independently of the Q. Phew, I'm not having a lot of luck this afternoon. My first game, my opponent ran the clock down for 5 minutes on his opening move and then left. And I was sitting with a bingo on my rack. That was adjudicated in my favour, hence the bump in score, bump in rating, but I'd much rather be playing games than winning them by that means. Great, whackf remains available. Caddy is now available. Nothing else fantastic. Do I really have no other QU plays apart from quash? No, I'm not seeing such a play. So I have whack for 19, and this rack leave is really good. So even though quash, 34 points, is 15 more points, I think overall, this by score and rack leave, this whack is a better play. So I would have hygienes through an E. No E's available. Not seeing a 7 with this rack. Not too many floaters. Media has taken out a lot of the floaters in parroted. In fact, all of them apart from the P. The ing ending is not looking particularly useful on this rack. Gosh, this is really close to a bingo, but I'm just not seeing one. And I think I've considered all of the floaters. So where can I get value from the Y? It's the Y and the G. Ah, look at this. Brilliant. I have hygienes in row B. But do I have anything better? How about the K? And it may just be possible that there's a better non-bingo than playing hygienes. But I will take some persuading. I'm not seeing anything with the K or the R, so this is what I'm seeing. Hygienes for 84. Not a great pickup, however, no duplicates. And I do have a couple of vowels to help get rid of the high-scoring tiles. So I have chow in column 1. What do I have in the middle at the top? Well, I have how. Both of those are pretty good. And that's one of the good points about the hygienes play. It was creating 2 hotspots rather than 1. Wow, fantastic bingo for opponent. 115 points. I have chow for 48 and a decent rack leave. Let me momentarily pause in case I have a bingo with this rack. Quite a few new floaters to consider. I think it's chow rees with an R, not with a D. But I think that may have caused me to have pause for thought. And I could play wid in this spot. I think chow is better. Chow for 48. Through an E, I would have shielded. No E's available. And I'm not immediately seeing any other bingos with this rack. Dishelmed through an M and an E. That's not available. What about the N? No, really not seeing anything here. So I'm dependent on opponent providing an E. Wow, and he had 2, but he hasn't stuck them out in the open. Now I trail by 16. What I can do is shield for 47, which is a decent score. Takes out opponent's opportunity of sticking an S on the end of fanzine. It is an open play, but the score of 47 points is 2/3 of a bingo, so certainly not to be sniffed at. What about row K? Do I have a double-double through OM? Wow, I think I do have dishomed, but it doesn't quite hit the second double word square. Just having another look at these letter pairs. What about TE? No, I'm not seeing anything, so I'm going back to shield for 47. Horrendous, absolutely horrendous, no vowels at all. And my lead is only 30 points, so that's disappointing. So, should I be changing? Possibly. As an absolute minimum, I'm looking to play off 3 of my consonants. So I could play bread if that remains available. That's probably worth doing, and even better is bleb, B-L-E-B. 22 points. Well, not surprisingly, that gets taken. And look at that, just 26 points for opponent, and he has to wreck his rack, so I still do have a lead. But I think I'm about to score 0 points because I'm not seeing anything better than changing. Can't see anything through these 2-letter sets which burn 3 consonants. So what do I get rid of? Do I keep the N? Well, I do, because there are no N's to come, so I would ordinarily keep 2 consonants, but I'm going to keep 3. Well, not so great. pretty unbalanced rack. I do have one vowel, for which I'm grateful. I have row G in row C. Still one blank to come, remaining tiles pretty bingo-y. Not too many J spots on this board. Well, I have jotted in row M, so that's nice. I have J spots in different locations on the board, and no N's and no R's to come, so jotted retaining NRR doesn't risk any further duplication of those tiles. Let me check the remaining vowels. 19 out of 36, so slightly vowel heavy, which again is an argument in favour of jotted. Yeah, row G I think scores quite a bit less and keeps 4 consonants, which even with a vowel heavy bag is vulnerable to drawing consonants. Now, it is the beginning of the month, so there's a brand new video up on the Patreon site for supporters of the channel. It's a very exciting 5-minute game, which I think you'll enjoy, and it's my way of showing my appreciation to the supporters of this channel who keep it alive, and I'm really grateful to you. And if you're not a supporter of the channel, please do consider becoming one. There is the current video, which is just gone up, and there's also access to all previous videos, and they are mainly 5-minute games and pretty exciting and error-strewn games at that, so quite a lot of fun. Now, jotted remains available. Fantastic. Anything better? Don't think so. So jotted for 28. Great, I draw some vowels. This is now a balanced rack, and it looks fairly bingo-y. I have narrate. I'm not sure that plays anywhere. Noint was a nice play because DI takes nothing in front. I lead by 5. That's not very much. I can't see anything beginning with A. Fugal takes nothing. U takes nothing. So basically no 7-letter lanes on this board. What about the floaters in fanzines? Not seeing anything with the I, which looks useful. Nor the Z. Nor the V. P only available if it's in second place. What about the R? No, this is all pretty dismal. So I may end up having a non-playable bingo, which is always irksome. And no scoring tiles, so the game is very finely paused. Gosh, Yen does take some front hooks, including an E, but narrate doesn't play. And I don't think narrate has an anagram. There is a 7-letter lane, column 14, for bingos beginning with a vowel or an S. I don't have an extension of chow. I'm drawn to the J since I've only got 1-point tiles. Only 2 E's to come. I'd quite like to hang on to my E. 2 S's and a blank. And I'd quite like to hang on to my R since there are none to come. So what I can do is this. I trail. Rate is a good 4-letter set. Such a shame burning the N, because that does help this, especially with the I for inter words. And ran, what does it take in front that's left? G and B, so not very much, and only an E can go after it, so opponent may have to waste an E to play in row O. So actually, my opinion of ran has gone up. I am going with this. Well, all 1-point bingo-y tiles. Is there a bingo here? Well, I have Patriate, but not quite the space for it. I have Zaratite in column 10, beginning with the Z. Surely that will remain available. Opponent's going to be obsessed with the dangers created by Ran. He has to play in the bottom left. Come on. What if the unthinkable happens and Zaratite is blocked? Is there really no 7 here? There is. There's Arietta. I have Arietta in column 14. And I think Arietta has an anagram, which, given it's such a high probability, I ought to know, and do know, but can I recall it? No. However, I think it would be pretty hard to block both bingos, but it can be done. An opponent nearly managed it. I was just imagining a play making ninths. So I do have a choice as to where to play, and this scores less. But the danger with Arietta... Actually, Zaratite scores more, which makes it an easy play. I thought I was sacrificing points, but I'm not. Arietta provides access to this bottom triple word square, which is why Zaratite is safer. I'm going with this. Not bad for 7 random tiles. And look at the remaining tiles, just 7 in the bag, but including 3 U's. And BGP lacks synergy. So opponent could have a bingo, or he could be quite a way away from one. And I lead by just 40 points. All of the big tiles have gone. Bottom left could be quite significant. If opponent's got the E, he may catch me without bingoing. There is potential for a 40 or 50 point play down there. Cran is good. So if opponent doesn't play in that spot, I probably can in some fashion. Although I don't have an E, so it would have to be a column 1 play. Now I do have some scoring tiles. What can I do with them? Let me first check the vowel situation. 8 out of 15, vowel heavy. Great, sort of. Now what do I have which goes in front of Ran? 11 minutes on my clock. Just the C. Is Dolce good? I'll be empty in the bag if I play that. Low C is, so that's going to leave 1 in the bag, and surely that's got to be best. What about Maiko? That scores a lot more. Keeps double L, but I'm not going to get triplicate L. I probably will get some vowels, I hope. I lead by 31, so score is important. I will lead by 70 after this. There'll be 1 tile in the bag, so if opponent bingos, he'll then have just 1 tile, which massively restricts your scoring potential compared to when you have 2 tiles. I'm going with this. Great, I do draw some vowels. And opponent has probably got a bingo now. But does he have a playable one? And if he does, well, row O is the scoriest location, beginning with A, getting tripled. Otherwise, nothing huge on offer. And I do have some scoring potential in this rack. I should be able to play off the P and get some score. And I'm probably looking to play wherever opponent plays his bingo. And if he doesn't play his bingo, I think I can pretty much outrun him wherever I play. I'm close to applauds, but I would need 1 of my L's to be a P, so I don't think I have a bingo myself. I do have an S for Zaratites, so I could play Spud. 25 points, and if opponent doesn't bingo, scores of 25 points are absolutely deadly for opponent. There is no way he can catch me without a bingo. Tav is good, but nothing goes above or below it. New bingo lane in column 2, I think. Yeah. So opponent could have a bingo here if the U was in the bag. Yeah, whatever tile is in the bag, opponent has 3 vowels or 4. But B and G lack synergy. However, I'm optimistic opponent doesn't have a bingo, and that if he does, I can outrun him. But it'll be a slightly anxious end to the game if opponent bingos, because I will have to plot a winning sequence. Great. Opponent does not bingo, scores just 27 points. I can see what he's got. Opponent has not provided anywhere for me, but I was only expecting him to provide somewhere for me were he to bingo. Now what he has done is block, which is quite clever. He's blocked my pluralizing Zaratite. Opponent, will he be going out? So he's got Gout. He's got Up Go, which plays in column 2 and in column 14. So opponent is certainly going out. I should play as though he were going out. Well, I think I can just play Spalled, burning off a lot of tiles, minimising countback, and scoring 20 points. And opponent has got at least 2 spots to go out, and he's got 7 minutes to find the best place. I think it's almost inconceivable that opponent won't go out. But if that were to be the case, do I have 2 spots for my L? I have LA and I have AL, so I certainly do. Where would score the most? I'm just scanning down the board for L spots. Not seeing anything more than 2 at the moment, which is fine since I have a guaranteed win. Yeah, I'm not seeing anywhere better than 2 for my L. I don't think curve L is good. It may take a D, it does take an S. So just 6 minutes on opponent's clock and 10 on mine, so quite a rapidly played game. But that's sometimes the case. Some racks you have a lot of thinking to do on them, and some you don't. And I managed 3 bingos, and whenever you're playing a bingo, you're throwing 7 tiles down, and that makes the game go faster because it means you have fewer moves in the game. And opponent's got a more challenging job because with a blank, there's quite a lot of candidate plays which he could play around the board. And certainly when you lose, one of the consolations that you can seek is to identify the best final move, which can minimize your losing spread and also make you feel slightly better about losing. And the flip side of that is, I think, probably exhibited by my own move. Now opponent's played Gauk and gone out. I'll just finish my thought. My own move has Spalled. I had 10 minutes. I could have spent a lot longer trying to identify if that was best, but because this was a non-tournament situation and it was a definite winning play and looked pretty good, I played it. So I may have thrown away points just based on that scenario. And the final score, 398 for my opponent, 439 for me, a winning margin of 41 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Well, that was a good game. Now, my opening rack. I thought about a Jew, preferred changing. Opponent's rack, he's got the blank from the beginning, no bingo, plays Fugal. And that's great because I have parroted. Gosh, what I didn't consider, or didn't locate, was a bingo through the U. And Protrude was there for 72, but I think I prefer to sacrifice 6 points because Protrude takes D, R, and S at the end, or certainly D and S. And that's really volatile. So I like my play, and look at that, opponent does have a D. And wow, he's got a ton of bingos and doesn't play one. They're not easy bingos to find, but they were there. Now, we are dead level on points, and I play whack down here for 19, keeping hens. There were more points on offer, including Washen, J9. Gosh, running all the way parallel to media, but I prefer my play. So what about Quash for 34? Is Shen 15 points better than Wen? And I would say it is. The S automatically adds about 8 to 10 points, and it has a lot of synergy with E, H, and N. So just considering the S alone, most of that difference is made up, and the W is a negative factor. However, let me try and put a value on this. ENW. EN is positive. W, I think, drags it back down into negative territory, maybe -2. And hens is positive, and I would put that as plus, well, maybe plus 13 or 14. So I would say there's a 15-point difference there, and that's the difference in score. So I prefer the move with the better rack leave. Opponent's rack, no bingo, plays curve, which is great because I get to play hygienes, and that's the only playable bingo. But look at this, what a fantastic spot. Fanzine for over 100 points. Which was playable, gosh, for 57. That is a much better play than chow, and such a common word, but it eluded me. However, chow is a reasonable second place word. Now, opponent has all these vowels, plays agree, and I have shield for 47, which looks fine. So now I have a 30-point lead. Opponent's rack, no bingo, plays Noint, and I have a dreadful rack, and I change, and I like that. I would say BBL NRT, definitely worth more than -17, and probably a lot more than that, probably down in the minus 30 territory, I would say. Opponent's rack plays Axiom, and at this point the game is jolly finely balanced, and if anything is in opponent's favour. He leads by 20 points, and I have an awful rack. So I played Jotted, and opponent has overbuys through an R, no available R, and therefore no bingo, plays buy, and I have narrate with nowhere for it to go. D12, errata and IN, quite nice, trashes the rack. It trashes the rack when I didn't need to trash it. So I was trailing by 23, so errata would have given me a slight lead. Instead, I play Ran for 10 fewer points, keeping a much better rack leave and opening opportunities up on the board. And I like that. My opponent's good. I feel that given that I'm behind, I'm more likely to win with a more volatile board. So I like my play. And there's a little more to it than that, the lack of ease, for example. Now, opponent plays Evo, which is a nice play. And I have Zaratite and Arietta, the only other playable bingo. So I lead by 40. Opponent plays OU. And now we're getting close to the end game, just 5 tiles in the bag. I play Maiko for 39, which really turns the screws on opponent. Oh wow, my poor opponent, look at this. The blank was the last tile in the bag. So he has no bingo, plays buys. And I play Spalled for 20. I could have got 30. I won for daps and whacks. Interesting. But if I'd played that, opponent would have had Gouda in column 1, so it's not obviously a better play. And finally, opponent goes out with Gauk, which probably scores more than Gouda would have scored. And that was the end of the game. So, what a game. We were jolly close, and there were some great bingos on both sides. Fanzine particularly stands out as an excellent spot, and it was fun to get Zaratite down. A bingo with a very bingo-y rack, but utilising one of the high-scoring tiles. So, all good fun. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.